Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, Ashwini, good morning. Ajay, good morning. Krishna, good morning. Yes, everyone. Am I audible to you? Yes, am I audible to you? Yes, Samir, good morning. Yes, Krishna, good morning. Yes, I hope it's better than yesterday. Yes. Okay, so those who joined me today, this is my name and this is my qualification. By profession, engineer. Then I did my master's in economics. Then I was selected in intelligence bureau. Then I opted for teaching as a career, and I'm here as a civil services educator for more than 8 years at Delhi, Pune, and Nagpur. So, Unacademy is having more than 1,500 courses, 15,000 courses, sorry. So you can join Unacademy. Yes, so there are options first 1, 3, 6, 12 months, 24 months, and whenever you want to take the admission, you will get a 10% discount when you use my code. This is my code Harshvardhan. You will get 10% discount. We have two options plus subscription as well as iconic. You will get the details on our website. Okay. Okay, so shall we start? Yes, everyone. Okay. So quick recap of last lecture. In the last lecture, we discussed about the first phase of French Revolution. The first phase was basically related to National Assembly. Means yesterday we mentioned here like this. These are the three parts of the State General. Three part of the State General. We mentioned that first, second, and third. Third state want one person, one vote. These two want one state, one vote. How it is so we already explained it in detail. Okay. So as their demand is not fulfilled, so what they did as king blocked their entry into state general. What they did, they just gathered together at one ground and they proclaimed themselves as a national assembly. Clear? And this national assembly took the task of drafting constitution. So this national assembly was known as Constituent Assembly. National Assembly and Constituent Assembly are the same. When they were acting as a legislator, it was National Assembly. When they acted as a Constituent Assembly, means to draft a constitution, it acted as a Constituent Assembly. So we mentioned all these things. Then we mentioned that king uses force against them, and that leads to beginning of revolution. The most important event in the beginning of revolution, that is fall of Bastille. Why it was so, we already mentioned, because it was a symbol of oppressive state. Then we mention about the Constituent Assembly presented a draft, and that draft is known as Rights of Man and Citizens. Here, the three iconic words evolved: liberty, equality, and fraternity. These words change the lives. These words are changing, and these words will change the lives of millions. And you, me, are among them. Clear? So we all discuss this. Then we mention about funeral march of old monarchy. Funeral march of old monarchy. In yesterday's lecture, why it was so that women carried that person to Paris, and that is led to end of old monarchy. So it is symbolic term. So that's why historian mention it in that manner. Then we mention about one more thing, that is the changes introduced by Constituent Assembly. So we mentioned the Constituent Assembly. Oh, sorry, it should not be there. The Constituent Assembly introduced two type of changes: secular changes and religious changes. Those who are not religious changes known as secular changes, means other than religious changes are secular. So religious changes means end of authority of church, end of tithe, end of dominance of church over society ended. Clear? Separation of institution, separation of power. Yes, so the concept is basically evolved. That is religious changes means church do not have any authority. Secular changes, the basically end of privileges. The issue was privilege. Then end of old taxation system, confiscation of lands of first estate and second estate distributed among third. So such kind of changes are introduced in France. So whatever the order they issued, they destroyed old France. These orders destroyed the old France. And in yesterday's lecture only we mentioned what was the old France. Clear? Yes, Vanupriya, good morning. Clear? So old France means, generally remember, pillars of ancient region. These pillars are common all over the world. There are three pillars. The first pillar, that is absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy. Second, institution of nobility. And third, agrarian economy. Absolute monarchy, unquestionable authority. And how this unquestionable authority you get it from divine origin of kingship. So French Revolution, that is Constituent Assembly, ended it. Second, end of privileges, that means nobility based societies also abolished. And third, agrarian economy also abolished. Why it is so? Because they focused on other aspect of revenue generation along with agriculture. It doesn't mean they completely abandoned it. No, they didn't completely abandon it. It was there, but they find out another option. So we all mentioned this thing in the first phase. Yes, till this we discussed. Then we mentioned, as the work of Constituent Assembly is to draft a constitution. So they drafted the constitution. What next? The question should be logical. What next? The constitution is there, and you have to run your country according to the constitution. And now, who is going to run the country? Who is going to run the country? Monarchy? No, they already abolished the monarchy, absolute monarchy. Then, who is going to work? Parliament. Means basically democracy, the beginning of democracy. And for that, you have to conduct elections. For that, you have to conduct elections. And it happened there as well that after drafting the constitution, election took place under the preview of Constituent Assembly on the basis of new constitution. A newly elected body, namely Legislative Assembly, came into existence. Okay? But what happened, as we mentioned earlier, these three parts, first, second, and third. We mentioned first, second, and third. As these privileged groups were unhappy with National Assembly, so most of them didn't participate. But as I mentioned, there are few enlightened ones. They joined National Assembly, and it gives real name or real character to the National Assembly. They were the representative of all Frenchmen because it includes the member from first, second, and third district. Clear? No, Ashwini. Establishment of republic is not in the phase in the Legislative Assembly. Clear? So first, second, and third they form National Assembly, but most of the members didn't participate. But what happened right now? 1789, revolution started. Right now it's 1791. After 2 years, first and second state, the most of the members who kept a safe distance from National Assembly, they realizes that this is a present. This is the present and future. We have to accept it at all cost. Because earlier they were the powerful enough. Earlier they were powerful enough till 1789, and right now they don't have authority. Who is having authority? Parliament, and Parliament is dominated by bourgeois. So that's why they want to regain their authority, and the result of that, they participated in the election. And because of that reason, it leads to hung parliament. How hung parliament? Because in that assembly, three groups emerged like this: one, two, three. One was monarchist, another was republican, and another was centrist. Monarchist, republicans, and centrist. So here we mention the monarchist as a rightist, republicans as a leftist, and those who are not at all the part of either are considered as a centrist. As the most important question in front of us, to whom we call rightist, to whom we call leftist. This is the most important thing for us, as we have a misconceptions in our life, misunderstanding regarding this rightist and leftist. As you know, American election is going on, the counting is going on, and the President Trump is from which party? A Republican. President Trump is from Republican. He is a Republican candidate. But as some of you are quite aware of this current situation or his policies, don't you think so? He was kind of rightist. Yes, Vijay. Good morning. आपने तो हमें जगा दिया बेटा, इतना लिख के. Clear? So don't you think so? His policies are quite rightist, reserve means conservative, we can say. So we get confused. As here mentioned, republic, rightist, conservative. Clear? So to whom we consider rightist, leftist, and centrist, that is the most important thing for us. Clear? That is one. So please let me know what's your opinion. To whom we considered rightist, to whom we considered leftist, and to whom we considered centrist. Because in the next phase, you will get the same thing. But there, a little bit difference is there. So that's why I'm asking basic thing. To whom we have to consider rightist, leftist, and centrist. Yes, this question is open for all. And I want the answer from basic point of view. Basic. A very basic. I don't want in current context. Current context, the scenario may be changed, but the basic idea remains the same. As Ashwini said, the conservatives are rightist. But but yes, you have a right to express your views, so don't worry about it. But I just want to say she said conservatives are rightist. But when we considered the Indian political system, don't you think so? The leftist parties like CPI, CPM, and all, sometimes you find out they are against technology. Sometimes it found, yes, Sankalpa, rightists are conservative, leftists are liberal in their views, liberals are leftist, rationalists are centrist. Somebody said rightist, those who want to stick with the tradition and brought the changes within the framework. Leftists want to change the framework. Okay. So sometimes we get confused. As you said, leftists are progressive, and in Indian context, when we find out okay, why they oppose the technology, when computer was in was introducing in India at that time, they opposes that. Now it is the best example. You and me are connected just because of that computer. That information and communication technology. Without this fast network, it's not possible for me to connect. I don't know from where you belong, where are you staying, but still we are connecting with each other. How it is so? Once upon a time, it was a situation that if you want to transfer the money, it was a big deal. Money order was there, and it takes time and all. Now, ATM, pay money, everything. Such kind of UPI apps are available easily. You can transfer anything. So sometimes we get confused. Okay, you said liberal and they are against it and all. So let me explain what exactly it is. So for that, we are going to discuss in the basic from where this concept emerged. This concept emerged from Rome. In Roman Empire, those who are sitting, wait, just in Roman Empire, those who are sitting on the left of king, suppose this is the left of king and this is the right of king. Those who are sitting on the left of king are leftists, considered as a leftist. Those who are sitting on the right, they are considered as a rightist. And those who are in front, considered as a centrist. Okay. It's very simple. If you go through it, you will get to know what's the big deal in that. Those who are sitting on left, leftist, sitting on right, rightist. It's not just that much simple. As you know that we always form groups when we are in a company, when we are in school, when we attend the classes, everywhere you will connect yourself with like-minded people, same mentality, and most of the friends are of the same nature. Clear? It has never been a case that one person is most honest and other person is dishonest are friends. It's never been a case. Honest always met with the honest, dishonest always met with the dishonest. Clear? So like-minded people always gather together. Sorry. So here, the leftist people, means the like-minded people, was sitting together. The same way these people are sitting together, they are having the same mindset, and those who are neither of their side are considered as a centrist. This is just a basic definition. Just a basic definition from where this concept emerged, rightist, leftist, and centrist. Now we are going to discuss in detail to whom we considered rightist and to whom we considered leftist. Rightist having backward looking approach. Leftists are having forward looking approach. And what about centrist? Centrist want status quo. Rightists are having backward looking approach. Leftists are forward looking approach. Let's have forward looking approach, and centrist want status. Okay. To whom we considered rightist, backward looking, leftist, forward looking, centrist, status quo. Clear? So here we mention it. Here we mention theory. Let's prove whatever I written here. Let's prove whether it is right or wrong. What I mentioned, monarchists are backward looking people, leftists are forward looking people, and centrists want status. Let's check with help of Legislative Assembly. Monarchist. The word itself suggests that they support monarchy. They support monarchy, and monarchy in the form of absolute. So whether during this phase of Legislative Assembly, France is having absolute monarchy, whether during the phase of Legislative Assembly, whether still Frenchmen considered king as God. Yes, everyone. Whether during the phase of Legislative Assembly, people still considered king as a god. Yes or no? Yes. What do you think? Yes. Still they considered as a god? Samir said, Ashwini said. Really? Really? Are you serious? Do you have a courage to abduct a god and start his funeral march? Is it a case? If God is there, when God said, join the State General, why you refused? So don't you think so they already ended the absolute monarchy during the period of, because constitution is there. How can you say that when constitution is there, can you say that it's absolute monarchy? No, you have to run the country according to the constitution, not by the will of God. Clear, everyone? It's very simple. At that time, there was no, during the time of legislative assembly, there was a constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy was there, as we mentioned, under the new constitution. Here the word is, when the new constitution is mentioned, that is, it is under constitutional monarchy. Ashwini said third state only refused. What about others? Majority always win, and majority was on the side of third state because they were the 90% population of the people. Clear? And when the new constitution is there, that means they already refuse to accept the authority of king as the absolute monarch. Clear? So during the time of legislative assembly, there was a constituent monarchy. King was like, king was basically de jure ruler, means for namesake, for the namesake. Clear? So here I was saying that monarchists, they support monarchy, they support absolute monarchy. And my question is that whether in 1791 there was absolute monarchy? No, there wasn't. There wasn't absolute monarchy, but still they want. That means, don't you think so? It is a backward looking approach. Don't you think so? It's a backward looking approach. Yes, exactly it is. Next, what here, what Republicans want? They want their country to be established as a republic state. Don't get confused with the present context of republic. Nobody wants to know what is happening. Clear? There. So what they want their country to be republic state. So whether in 1791 their country was a republic state, no, we mentioned here legislative assembly was having constitutional monarchy. So this idea was also not present. Don't you think so? It is a forward looking approach. Yes, exactly. And what I mentioned about the centrist, what centrist want? Centrist want status quo. And what they want? Constitutional monarchy, and it's there. It's there. Clear? So whatever I say to you in theory, whether it is applicable in practical as well. Yes, clear. So idea is basically clear. To whom we considered rightist, those who are having backward looking approach, republican, sorry, leftist forward looking approach, and centrist status quo. So let me clarify one more thing to you with you. As I mentioned earlier in this lecture only, that CPI, CPM kind of parties were there in present in India. Sorry, are there in India. And I mentioned they opposed the introduction of technology, computer, and all. But at that time, their intention was, what was their intention? Whether they were opposing the technology? No, they were thinking about human resource. They were thinking about the human resource. It was their policy that they were thinking about. India is having huge number of people, and if one computer is going to do the work of 100 of people, then 100 people are going to be jobless. So it was their concern. Clear? But when you consider any person from this leftist ideology, don't you think so that person is a rational one? That person is a liberal one? That person is believe in equality, all kind of equality, men, women equality, and all. So if you know anyone, I don't know much, but if you know anyone, so you will get to know that okay, they in their views and in their ideologies, they are progressive, not in absolute term, but they are progressive in ideology. Maybe their political ideology may be the different. Clear? Okay. So the confusion is clear. Okay. Now, what happened in Legislative Assembly as these three parties, monarchist, rightist, and centrist, were there, and no one is having majority. When no one is having majority, is it possible for you to work the parliament? No, it's not possible. But in present context, you know that in Indian context, as we know, since 1996, the coalition government is a common phenomenon till 2014. Was a common phenomenon till 2014, and coalition government works well as well. So we had the experience of it. Clear? So we had experience. Then why these people didn't form a coalition government? It's just because it was their first experience, first time in their history they opted for democracy. They don't know how to work it. So what happened? Monarchists were firm with their rightist ideology. Leftist means republic were firm with their leftist ideology, and they were firm on their centrist ideology. Means no consensus among them. And you know, in democracy, if you want to run the government, consensus should be there. Majority should be there. If you are going to present any bill, people should support that bill or people should oppose that bill. It should not be the case that without collaboration or cooperation, working or running of country is very difficult. And that's why these three are having divergent views, so it's very difficult to perform any work. So they didn't perform any significant task, and because of that, they decided to dissolve the Legislative Assembly and again election takes place. Clear? Why it was so? Because all three are having different ideologies. All three are having different ideologies and they do not have a consensus over any particular issue. So it was a situation of deadlock among them. So it's better to dissolve and again ask for fresh mandate. And they decided that they dissolved the Legislative Assembly and again election takes place. After that, a new body emerged, and that new body is known as National Convention. That new body is known as National Convention. Clear? Any doubt, any question related to Legislative Assembly? Yes, anyone? Yes, any doubt, any question? No. Good. If it is so, please let me know. So now we are moving towards the third phase of revolution. As I said, French Revolution was not an event that one fine morning they decided and they changed the structure. It was not the case. There were some background factors were responsible. At the same time, the revolution was a continuous process and it were having phases. The first phase we mentioned about the National Assembly and Constituent Assembly. The second phase we are mentioning, we already mentioned, that is related to Legislative Assembly, and now we are in the third phase of revolution, that is National Convention. Clear? So after election, a new body came into existence, that is National Convention. Republicans got full majority. Now they can work, now they can run the government according to their will. So what's the aim, final aim of Republican Party? To establish France as a republic. It's their aim. It's their aim to establish France as a republic. Clear? But still, till now, the revolutionary people doesn't have any intention to end monarchy. Revolution was not against the monarchy. Revolution was against the privileges, against the exploitation, clear, against the discrimination. So the revolution was still in phase. Now what happened? Republicans got the full majority, but right now there is a division among them. Republicans were having two groups. One is Jacobian, another is Girondist. Girondist is the same. Republicans were having two groups within them, like this: Girondist and Jacobian. National Convention is dominated by Jacobian under their leader Robespierre. Some of you quite aware of this person, Robespierre. Maybe some of you get confused. Okay, what exactly it is? How earlier the Republicans were there, now how the two groups are there? It's very simple. Do not take too much tension. Very simple. Let me explain this thing with help of Indian history. How? Do you know that during our freedom struggle, Indian National Congress was the party. It was not just a political party, it was INC was a national movement as well. The Congress were having members from all the states of India along the all genders. Yes, either rich or poor, they are the members of it. Intelligentsia, women, or male advocates, doctors, all are the members of that party. So do you know that in 1905 there was an emergence of one leadership? The Congress was having two leadership at that time. Earlier it was dominated by moderates. Then it was dominated by extremists. You know the example: Lal, Bal, Pal, Lokmanya Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and sorry, hmm, yes, Lokmanya Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and one more thing, Lala Lajpat Rai. Yes. लाला लाजपत राय, बाल गंगाधर तिलक and बिपिन चंद्र पाल. So लाल बाल पाल ये अपने कभी आपने सुना होगा. So these were the leader considered as the extremists. Don't you think so? They are the part of the same party. They are the part of the same party. Moderate. The leaders like Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta, Dadabhai Nauroji, they were also the part of the same party. Clear? So when you are the member of the same party, still you may have some versions. What I'm saying? Versions. And every party should have in your family as well. In your family, as the Diwali is coming, so most of you wants to purchase something. So you have a different version when you decide to brought an LED. Some of this say, some of the members, basically the parents have said, why you required 45 inches, 80 inches, sorry, 50 inches and all. You said that no, it is required. So these are the versions. Okay. So every political party should have the same version. And Congress was having the same version in 1905 at that time. Then we get the reference in latter phase during the 1920s decade, as some of you quite aware of that. No changers and pro changers. Then latter than rightist, leftist. Yes, this Jawaharlal and Subhash. Clear? Now you get it how the Republican divided into two groups. Yes, it's very simple. So Republicans were divided into two groups here, one under Girondist, other under Jacobian. And when Republican got majority, Jacobian dominated it. And how it is, so just imagine the strength. Jacobians were more than Girondists. So of course, who is going to dominate? Jacobian. Here, here, it's very fantastic example. That's why I explained the concept of rightist leftist. Girondists were considered as a rightist, and Jacobian are considered as a leftist. So these are the names given by historian, not by us. Now you're going to think how just now this person told us that Republicans are leftist. And very next year, this person is saying that in that there are two people, one is considered as a leftist, other is considered as a rightist. How? Don't you think it is a very logical question? It's very, very, very logical question. Listen it carefully. It's a comparative term as well. It's a comparative term as well. How? When we considered within Republicans were leftist at that time. Yes. But when we compare these two, Girondist and Jacobian, Jacobians were more radical and Girondists were moderates. Yes, Ashwini, what you said, Girondists were wishing for gradual change, Jacobians wishing for. Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes. So, Jacobians were radical, Girondists were moderates. Radical means they want sudden changes. And what Girondists want? Gradual. Gradual. So these were the two versions of Republicans. Girondists, what they want gradual changes in the society. They doesn't want that end of kingship in one day and that leads to anarchy because it is a structure going on. Suddenly you stop it and suddenly you say that kal se ye hoga. So definitely it creates a chaos. Yes, you can compare it with the tomorrow is their anniversary. You can compare it. Tomorrow is 8th November. You can compare. Suddenly one day, end of this and tomorrow there will be different things. So definitely it leads to chaos. So what Girondists want gradual changes in the society, day by day. And what Jacobian want, radical changes. It's just like end it, tomorrow new thing. So that's why because of their radical approach, historian gave them a leftist, and when they compared Girondist with Jacobian, they considered Girondist as a right. Clear? Is it clear? Is this clear? Yes, Kanan said that. Kankan said that radical conservative moderates. Is that clear to all of you? Good. So Jacobian dominated the National Convention under the leadership of Robespierre. Robespierre, who is Robespierre? Who is Robespierre? Robespierre was by profession a lawyer, along with that intelligentsia, lawyer as well as intelligentsia. Clear? And now he was a leader of Jacobi. As you know that we right now mention what they want radical changes in the society, and Republicans were considered as a leftist, that means progressive, pro changes, progressive. So whatever the means old practices were continued and which are considered as against equality. As you know that we mentioned the French Revolution gives us gift liberty, equality, and fraternity to all of us. Liberty, equality, and fraternity to all of us. Yes, as Duncan said that sound is so low. Is it a case that all are facing the same problem? Yes, everyone. All of you are facing the same problem. Yes, please let me know if it is the case. Whether sound is low. Okay. Maybe I can speak loudly so that you can hear very well. So others are not facing that much problem, but still I can manage. Okay. So here what I said, liberty, equality, and fraternity. These are the gifts given by French Revolution to the world. And the word equality. Equality means equality among all. As I mentioned in last lecture, equality, this concept is of evolving nature. It's not the case that once fine morning everyone gets the equality. We have to strive for that. Earlier the men strive to get equality, rich men with the poor men and all, we discussed that. Okay. So when we mention about the equality among the men, In that equality, one more aspect is that slavery. Slavery was a common practice prevalent in the medieval times all over the world. In India also slavery was there. There were many historians who didn't mention that because they didn't find out the slavery in the harsh context as they compare with the European state. In India, slavery was there, but the intensity was quite less. So this was a common practice. And many countries, and basically these colonial countries, colonial masters, they traded in the slave. And this is against the principle of revolution. So that's why they ended the slavery. They abolished the slavery. Who? National Convention abolished the slavery. Okay. Next thing, as I'm not going to mention this end of monarchy and establishment of republic, one conspiracy is there and we're going to discuss that later. So this is the one aspect of the reforms introduced by National Convention. Another aspect is rationalization of religion. The word is very simple, rationalization of religion. Rationalization of religion. Can please, I'm going to explain what exactly the situation is. So we have to move ahead with the revolution. Clear? They also guillotine the people. I didn't mention it right. So rationalization of religion, what it means. Yes, I'm asking this question to all of you as you are going to be a bureaucrat. You're going to be a policymaker in our country. So I hope you know the what it means, rationalization of religion. Yes, please. What rationalization of religion means to you. Forget about the French Revolution and all, because these are the universal concept and it are these concepts are related with us. What do you think about rationalization of religion? Yes, I'm waiting for your answer. Then it's okay. I didn't uh, consider you as a wrong. No, it's absolutely right. Whatever you said is absolutely right. But we are going to discuss in phase manner. Now, please tell me what rationalization of religion means to you. And yes, one more thing. Those who join me today, it's a request to all of you that feel free to ask the question as this is not a one-way communication. Yes, it is an interactive session. And if you really want to learn things, then always remember your conversation should be interactive. If you are having any doubt, any question, any queries, you can ask me without any hesitation. Clear? And those who know me earlier, I already said this thing. This is the platform where you can do the mistake. I never expect a perfect answer from you. I'm expecting only answer, whether it is right or wrong. Please do not judge by yourself. I'm there. I'm going to tell you whether it is right or wrong. Clear? So this is the platform where you can do the mistake. When you're going to do the mistake here, you're going to avoid the mistake when you're performing in mains or prelims or in interview. Clear? So please. Yes, so what Sankalpa said, adoption of the changes with respect to changing world. Okay, change in orthodox views. Samir said that it might be the think rational not to follow priest blindly. Okay. I'm asking about your life. Yes, what it means to you when you ask this question. Rationalization of religion. Yes, yes, please, please. Ashwini said replacement of tradition into rational and today's based thinking. Okay. Hmm. Go on, go on, go on. Go on, please. Write it. Because without knowing your views, it's not possible for me to explain the concept because some of you are going to present the exact views, some of going to are not going to present the views. Clear? So please just feel free. Text. Only 3% considered rationalization of religion. What about the others? Or whether this is the first time you heard about okay, rationalization of religion. First time. A new concept, just like Eureka. It's not the case. Since your childhood, you heard about this rationalization of religion. Yes, everyone. Okay, as the response is very low from your side, okay, I will explain. What rationalization of religion? For me, what rationalization of religion means, do not sankalpa, use your logic and not the following the teaching blind. Yes, exactly. Do not follow anything blindly. If it is in religion, that's okay. If it is other, yes. Next, develop scientific temperament. Develop scientific temperament in your life, as it is mentioned in the Constitution as well. Yes, use logic and reason. Rational thinking. Rational thinking. Yeah. Let me explain with help of any example. And one more thing, yes, one more request I want to make this request to all of you. Please, whenever I express anything, views related to religion or anything, do not get too much sentimental of it. I'm going to tell you the reality. If you're not going to accept the reality, then that's your problem. As you're going to be a bureaucrat, please follow the constitution. Along with that, try to see the society with naked eyes, that means without any prejudice. If some problems are there in the society, we have to accept it and we have to work for the betterment of that. If something good is there in our society, then we have to promote it. Clear? So, for example, and this is a historical fact only. Earlier in India, there was a practice going on known as sati. Sati. Sometimes it was a forcefully, sometimes it was a willful concept. Don't you think so? Burning a person alive is a horrific thing. Burning a person alive, and especially women. Just remember, it is not applicable for men. It is applicable for women only. So burning that person alive, it's a horrifying thing. And those who supported this idea, they always give reference of religion. They always gives the reference of religion. Remember one thing, if you are theist, atheist or agnostic, whatever it may be the case, one thing is very common, that religion is for betterment of human. It's created by human only. It's for betterment of human, and all religion, whatever the religion present in the world, are basically advocated peace. All the religions. Clear? So when the orthodox people gave the reference of religion for such a horrific thing, don't you think it was wrong? Yes, it was completely wrong, the burning. So the person, one of the greatest Indian, we can consider that person as a modern man of India, that is Raja Ram Mohan Rai. He advocated to end this practice, and because of his efforts, end of sati. That is the rationalization of religion. Do not follow anything blindly. Clear? One more misconception is there, and I'm going to explain that as well with you. One more misconception is there in Indian society related to new moon day. In general, Indians know this day, Amavasya, new moon day. We all are having fear. Most of the people are having fear because of the darkness. You cannot see anything with the naked eyes. This fear was there when man was living in jungle. So there only, because at that time there was no electricity, there was no inverter, there was no solar light. Clear? So as you and me all are there, if there is darkness anywhere and you don't have any torch or any source of light, definitely you are going to worry. Clear? So it was the case at that time. It was the case, and human cannot see anything with the naked eye. That was they were having fear of this day, new moon day. But right now we are not living in jungle. We have all the technologies. Everything is there. Then why we are having fear of new moon day? Don't you think so? This new moon day is a usual practice. Don't you know the science behind it? You know the science behind it. How the new moon day is there, how the full moon day is there. You know the science and still you're following it. That means you are not using logic, you are not using the rational thinking, and you are against the principle of rationalization. Clear? So what rationalization means to you? It's just an example. Clear? So in terms of French society, now we are going to discuss what rationalization of religion means to them. As you know that because of French Revolution, they ended the authority of churches over the king. Separation of power was there. But right now, scientific education introduced. Scientific education introduced there. End of religion based education. Scientific education introduced in the society, end of religion-based education. Along with that, promotion of scientific temperament. Promotion of scientific temperament. Along with that, end of role of church. End of role of church from from administration. Clear? So such kind of changes the inter. There are many. There are many. I just give few example of it, and you know what is rationalization of religion. And in India, most of the people are following Hindu religion. So we discussed that. In Arabian countries, Muslims were there, so they discussed that. In European country, Christianity was there, so that's why they were discussing all these things. So they found out the problems in their religion. Rationalization of religion means do not follow anything blindly. Clear? As some of you know that in the Bible it was mentioned that sun is revolving around the earth and all. When Galileo expresses views that it is not at all the case, that sun is centric and earth is revolving, so church punished that. So such kind of thinking was present, means whatever written in Bible, it was based on the knowledge the people have at that time. But we developed that thing, the science evolved by the scientist. So that's why we know many more things. So such kind of changes they introduced in France, that is known as rationalization of religion. Clear? Clear, everyone? Okay. Next thing we are going to discuss, and yes, these 2 points, end of monarchy and establishment of republic, I'm going to discuss in this slide. Next. What happened as revolution is in third phase? Revolution is in third phase. But as this revolution, everybody knew this France is sharing the border with Austria. Yes, France share border with Italy. Earlier there was no country known as Italy. We are mentioning that. France share border with Germany as well. Clear? So these are the countries attached to France. Some of you quite aware of this concept that ideas are more dangerous than weapons. Ideas are more dangerous than weapons. Why? Why? Because ideas can change the world. Ideas can change the world. Clear? When a person presented an idea of liberty, at that time it was not in existence, but he presented the idea, and that idea is carried forward one person to other person to other, and this idea is right now essential, integral part of our life. Clear? It changed the lives of millions of people. So ideas are more dangerous than weapons. So that's why suppose this idea, that is liberty, equality, fraternity, this idea is evolved in France. And do you know one thing? That idea can transfer from one place to another place without any passport, They don't require passport. If I am visiting the France and I get to know, okay, what is liberty, equality, fraternity, and my country is supposed to be ruled under absolute monarchy, they can check me whether I carry anything or not. But they cannot read my mind, what is there in my mind. So ideas doesn't have border. It can transfer from one place to another place. Yes. So if anything happened in France, so for example, French old monarchy was destroyed, don't you think other people, French people living in German area, as Germany was not the country till 1870-71, but I'm talking about German speaking area, where the monarchy is there. In Austria, absolute monarchy was there. In Russia, absolute monarchy was there. Don't you think so? These idea can transfer to these areas as well. And if such ideas transfer from one area to other area, don't you think so? These people are also going to demand, means the people from the France, this is German speaking area, this is Austria. Don't you think so? The people from Austria are also going to demand liberty, equality, fraternity. They are also going to demand abolition of monarchy. Yes, definitely they are going to demand. That is the case. They are going to demand this thing. So that's why these neighboring states were angry over France and they want to end the revolution. Yes, these countries want to end the revolution by means of force. Clear? This is the external factor, external threat. This is the external threat. For French Revolution. Okay. Do you think so that all Frenchmen supported the idea of French Revolution? Do you really think so? All Frenchmen supported the idea of French Revolution? Yes. What do you think? No answer from your side? I'm waiting for your reply. Yes, Samir said no, Ashwini said no, Sankalpa said no. Yes, of course, no, not at all. It's never been clear that all support. And why it is so, please let me explain once again to you that in earlier phase, the first, second, and third state, they all are happy. Why? Because everything works according to them. But the privileged group, they were unhappy. They were unhappy. These people were unhappy because the French Revolution ruined everything. For centuries, they enjoy the privileges, and right now their property confiscated. They are treated in same manner as like a bourgeois, as like a peasant. Means equality is there. Yes, yes, exactly, Samir. There were still some people who supported the monarchy. And why they supported monarchy? As I mentioned, the external factor, internal factor. Still, the people supported the monarchy. And why it is so? Because they want their privileges back. They want their privileges back. So those are considered as a monarchist. They were against revolution. They were against the revolution. Don't you think so? They can hatch a conspiracy. They can hatch the conspiracy. Yes, they can. So right now, during the national convention, during the national convention, there were two threats: external and internal, to end the revolution. And what they want? The condition of pre-1789, that means absolute monarchy. What they want? Absolute monarchy. This conspiracy was going on within France as well as outside France, and that leads to war. That is, external aggression was there. External aggression means these countries attack France. These, these countries, that neighboring state, attack the France. At the same time, these internal forces, they also hatched plots to end revolution. Clear? So that's why the policies adopted by Jacobian under National Convention in such a manner that these policies were considered as a reign of terror by historians. Yes, the policies adopted by National Convention under the leadership of Robespierre, these policies considered as reign of terror by historians. So here we have to discuss what exactly the policy they followed, why it is called as reign of terror. Reign of terror means a period of terror. Anybody wants to attach this name to themselves while they were ruling? Nobody wants. Historians give this name, reign of terror. And why it is so? Because the actions taken by National Convention was so harsh in nature. That's why this name is given by historians. Clear? So first, let me see. What is reign of terror? Reign of terror. So to fight from external front, for to fight against external enemy, there was a Republican army was there. To fight against external enemy, Republican army was there. And yes, one more person. This person, Napoleon, is one of the member of Republican army. So from external front, Republican army was fighting. Republican army was fighting. External enemy. What about internal enemy? For the internal enemy, their policy was to fight against internal enemy. To fight against internal enemy, they design the policy, and that policy is known as reign of terror. That is known as reign of terror. Reign of terror, what's the purpose of reign of terror? It was against anti-revolutionary forces, both within and both outside. Okay. So, during this period of reign of terror, huge number of people killed. Huge number of people killed. So first we are going to discuss the tools for execution of reign of terror. What were the tools? First, a revolutionary tribunal means a separate court. A separate court to try. Separate court for trial. Okay. Revolutionary tribunal. Second, Committee on Public Safety. As you know, the word public safety, it is related with the internal security. Deputies on mission, special force, special police, to monitor, special force, special police to monitor whether any conspiracy is going on within the country or not. And the most important, law of suspect. Law of suspect means with help of this, just by suspicion, you can arrest anyone. The four tools: a separate court, revolutionary tribunal for fair trial. And you know, when we use the word like this, fair. Yes. Does it? No. Because here it is already having prejudice. What prejudice they were having? You are involved in anti-national activities. You are involved in anti-national activities. So, do you really think so? It is going to work? No. Law of suspect. Just on suspicion, you can arrest anyone, try that person, and hang him. Why? Because if you consider the fair trial, then you have to provide all the opportunities to the person who is considered as an accused. But here it was not the case. Just on the suspicion, they captured you in the name of public safety and tried you and hanged you. It was the case. So the people, what people did at that time, if they want to take any personal revenge, they just called the deputies, secret police, and they informed this particular person A is involved in anti-national activities. So this secret police arrested that person, tried that person, and executed that person. It was a case, just imagine the horrifying thing. In the name of protection of revolution, they tried and killed their own people. And along with that, as I mentioned the word hang, after that they frustrated hanging the people. Because it was a too much timely process, time taken process. So one person was known as Dr. Guillotine. He designed a machine to kill. See, invention. Invention in killing as well. You should be innovative person. So he did that invention to kill the people. And as you know, I can draw this diagram. You know, this such kind of feature was there. This is the person unhappy. This is the blade. Pulley is there, and one person is going to lift that and end of this person. Very simple. Again, ready for another. Again, ready for another. Because their purpose is to kill the people. Because they considered these people are against the revolution. They are anti-national. Yes, exactly. It is not a new concept. It was the age-old concept, anti-national. Now, in during this time of national convention, a new game started to calling everybody anti-national. You anti-national, you are anti-national, you are anti-national, and they tried and they killed the people. So it was the madness was going on. Just on the suspicion, they tried the people and they killed the people. One more surprising thing that, as I mentioned, during ROT, huge number of people guillotined, and most of them from third district. Do you know that how much 85% of the 100% belongs to third district? How much? 85%. Now this question comes to your mind as well as mine. Who started the revolution? Who started the revolution? Don't you think so? Third district? Yes. Who started the revolution? Third district. And during the revolution, around 85% people guillotine belongs to third district. Belongs to third. Don't you think so? It's a surprising fact for you. Yes. In 1789, you called them revolutionary. You called them patriot. And now it is the case in 1793-94, you called them anti-national. How? How it is the case? How can you say that they are anti-national? They started the revolution since beginning. They were supporting the idea of revolution, and now they are the worst sufferer of this revolution. And why it is so here, as Samir asks, so how it is possible? Yes, who are they? They were the common people, and law of suspect was on work. Don't you think so? Common people are having hobby to take revenge of others from a different person. This is a very common practice prevail all over the world. Those who do not have a courage to take their revenge, they can take this through this manner. You can compare this situation with the Indian context as well. You will get to know. I don't want to tell you, but if you use your common sense. No, Samir, it is from third district. It is not basically groundless from Jacobian. It is not the case. Third district, all the members of third district. Law of suspicion was on work. Just you have to tell that this is the person, means you are living in this area and you are this person. This person is here and this person is here. You too have a problem with this person. Maybe on the basis of his caste, maybe on the basis of his religion, maybe on the basis of his talent, anything. And you want to take revenge. But at the same time, you don't want to be criminal. You don't want to be culprit. So what you're going to do, just inform. Hello, one anti-national found. One anti-national found. That's it. Deputies are going to take this person to tribunal. Tribunal is going to try that person and finally guillotine. Clear? It's a very common thing. So I just want to tell you this thing as well. Revolution started by third estate, and now most of the people killed on the basis of suspicion on the charges of anti-revolutionary activities. Don't you think so? Don't you think so that these people are fed up with idea of revolution? Don't you think so? People are going to fed up with the idea of revolution. Yes, of course then. Because they led the revolution and now they are the sufferer of that. It was the case. Clear? Next. Next thing. As you know that as I mentioned, this person again proved me that is 16. This person again made prove me right. How it is so? As I earlier mentioned several times that revolution was not against the king, was not against the monarchy. Clear? It was against the problems in French socio-politico-economic structure. As this person, Louis XVI, he married to a princess of Austria. So Louis XVI hatched conspiracy with Austria and at the same time tried to escape from France. Once again, he lost the absolute authority, that's okay, but still he is the head of state. Just imagine the situation. Still he is the head of state. He can enjoy his own privileges. So what's the problem with this person? British monarchy was very wise. When they realized as people are now enlightened, when they decided to introduce democracy, then they provide more rights to them. And finally, do you know that Britain is having monarchy? They enjoyed their privileges. And along with that, they do not have to perform any work. Parliament is there to take care of it. They just want to enjoy the privileges. So it was the case with this person as well. But he was a foolish one. And he hatched the conspiracy with Austria. And when he tried to escape the France, people caught him red-handed. People caught him red-handed and it was an act of treason. It was an act of treason because right now you are acting against the country, acting against the revolution, acting against the France. So that's why the same process is repeated here. Which process of ROT? So-called fair trial. After fair trial, the person is found guilty, and after person found guilty, they just guillotine it. So the execution of king and queen, and that execution ended the monarchy and establishment of a republic. Get it? I purposely left these 2 points there. In the last slide, I mentioned that I'm going to discuss this later. Yes, it is the same case. Execution of king and queen during the ROT, and because of that, end of monarchy and establishment of republic. And you know what? As I mentioned earlier, the dream of Republican or the aim of Republican, they want to establish France as a republic nation state. Clear? And now their idea is fulfilled. This is the first experiment of French Republic. Don't worry, they also have a hobby of playing Republic game. This is the first republic. Second is going to come. Third is again going to come. Clear? So this is the first experiment of republic in France. Till this point, clear? Everyone? Very good. I don't think so any problem is there. If you have, please let me know. I'm going to explain it. Next. Now, now, as I mentioned here, the reign of terror, this ROT, reign of terror was so horrifying in nature that they killed anyone on the basis of law of suspect. Kill, just kill. And third state, who participated in the French Revolution, they are the front runner in that, and now they are killed. They are killed by Jacobians, by National Convention under the leadership of Robespierre. So this is known as excesses of revolution. Reign of terror is also known as excesses of revolution. And now people fed up with with idea of revolution. Now people fed up with the idea of revolution. How it is so? Let me explain with help of Indian example. India is a wonderful country. We have all the examples in our life. Yes, India consists of everything. So that's why we say incredible India. Even Hale Washam mentioned the wonder that was India. You can have all the examples of what. How the people fed up with the revolution. Yes, revolution was basically a motivating force that changed everything. So let's take example. Most of you love Holi. It is a festival of color. On that day, you just play the Holi and everything. This time, it was not possible because of pandemic. But just remember, once upon a time, it was the case. You played the Holi and all. On that particular day, you feel happy with all the dirty faces, all everything is there. You feel proud. But if anybody asks you to play Holi on daily basis, Holi on daily basis, don't you think so? You fed up with that festival as well? Because every day when you are going for the office, it was a once upon a time day. Right now everybody is at home. When you want to go to office and you get ready and somebody throw the balloon and say happy Holi, you will be like, are you mad? What's this? Every day. Now the problem is the same thing, that people fed with the revolution because the revolution started. Yes, revolution started in 1789 and right now it reached to 1795. The revolution was there for change, and they don't see that much changes. they don't see that much changes, and what they ex- experience reign of terror. So that's why they paid up with that. And finally, because of that, people were against the National Convention. People were against National Convention, and because of that reason, Robespierre, as I mentioned, the leader of Jacobian guillotine. Same process, so-called fair trial. So-called fair trial. After fair trial, they guillotine him because of the excesses of revolution. Clear? After the end of Robespierre, people are really frustrated with this electoral system. What they want peace. Everybody wants peace and prosperity. Peace and prosperity. That's it. They doesn't want to have any other intention. Peace and prosperity. And how you can achieve peace and prosperity? By avoiding violence. Clear? It's very simple. If you want peace and prosperity, you have to avoid violence. So because of that reason, they dissolved National Convention. They dissolved National Convention. Clear? And after dissolving National Convention, they drafted a new constitution. They drafted new constitution. And under new constitution, again election takes place. And this election gives birth to the idea of directory system. What they thought at that time, as we mentioned earlier, the Legislative Assembly, here we mentioned monarchist, republican, centrist, no consensus, National Convention, Republicans, majority, many people, discussion, debate, divergent views. Okay, majority is having problems. So instead of that, they thought that instead of these lots of people, it's always better that few handful people can work for this country. We can consider them as the intelligentsia. They can work for betterment of our country. So they thought that this might be the case with you. As you know, when you can see the Indian Parliament, Indian assemblies, the states assemblies with the naked eyes, sometimes you will get to know why these people are too much shouting, why these people are fighting with each other. Can't they maintain the decorum of the houses? Sometimes they oppose without any intention. Just in the name of opposition, they opposing everybody. So such kind of incidences were there. Some incidences were so horrifying in nature that threw chair in the they threw chair at that time in assemblies. So when we can see this thing and some of the leaders are corrupt, some politicians are criminal. So at that time we can consider, okay, why we are having such thing. Instead of that, it's always better that few handful people can work for the betterment of the state. So this is the thinking of common man. But when you can think that few people works better. When you can think that few people works better, is it the case? Is it the case? Right now, when you have many people, they are your representative. They can raise your voice in the parliament when nobody can hear you. Basically, the government, if you are protesting against the government is not going to take care of it, of course, because they don't like opposition from anybody, any government. They don't like opposition. So it's a duty of opposition to raise those questions. Yes, you can see anything means it happened with the civil services reforms. Yes, it happens in the laws, acts, because opposition, few handful people raised this question in the parliament. That question was discussed, debated, and finally we drafted some laws. Clear? So, if we consider that few handful people can work better, few handful people can rule better. So, just imagine if these handful people became corrupt, then if they are having prejudice related to any gender, any caste, any community, etc., then do you really think so? If these people are corrupt, inefficient, or having any prejudice regarding the particular section of the society, can you say that they can work for betterment? In ideal condition, you can say yes, they can because it's their duty. But in practical sense, they cannot. They cannot. And do you really think so? They are going to raise your question? They are going to sort out your question? No, because you already gave authority to them. So it's a very normal phenomenon. Common people always think that instead of too many representatives, it is always better that one person or few handful person can run the system. Frenchmen were having this illusion at that time, so that's why they opted for a directory system. There were five directors in this directory system, and with the time they proved that they were inefficient, they followed the corrupt practices, and earlier it was a parliamentary system. So anybody can ask the question. Now no one is there to ask the question. Means it is seen like an absolute monarchy. They are having all the powers and you cannot change that. In the parliamentary system, if anybody wants to form the government, they want majority. And if the particular government is not going to work well, then people can withdraw their support. But what here? It's not the case. The five directors are there. After the election, after appointment, they acted on their own. They became corrupt, and people are more frustrated. And because of that, there was a discontent, dissatisfaction among the people. What they want in 1789, peace and prosperity, till 1799, it's not present. The problems remain the same. The problem remains the same. The revolution is still going on. Though certain changes introduced, but still this is distant dream. Peace and prosperity, ठीक है ना? Revolution, होली खेल लिए एक दिन, दो दिन खेल लिए. If you consider it every day you are going to play Holi, you will definitely fed up with that concept. So it is the same thing. Those who supported the idea of revolution, they voluntarily participated in revolution, and right now their condition is like that. How much time it required? When we are going to settle? When our country is going to run in proper manner? So, and when they experiences all these things, legislative assembly, national convention, directory system, now people are really frustrated. What they want peace and prosperity, and for that reason, they were fined They were searching for a ray of hope, and that ray of hope came in the form of Napoleon. The ray of hope came in the form of Napoleon. Why? Because people were frustrated at that time. They want stability, they want peace, and the democratic experiences experiments prove them wrong. So what they want someone to settle all the problems in one go, and it paved the way for Napoleon. So who was Napoleon? Who was Napoleon? Napoleon was a common man. Napoleon was a common man. He joined the Republican army. He joined the Republican army. This army was fighting against anti-revolutionary forces. Yes, and as you know, he was an able administrator as well as able military general. He was an able administrator as well as able military general, and he proved his mettle in battlefield, and his military adventures became the household stories. His military adventures became a household stories. What Napoleon did, how he was a courageous person, how he sorted out the problem, how he killed the people, how he defeated the enemies. So such kind of stories were there, and you know, Indians or people or common people always love exaggeration. When he performed best in the battlefield, suppose let's take example of Napoleon. Napoleon was fighting against the 10 people at the same time, and there are other people who are watching him. Napoleon defeated all of them. So these two people are inspired by this incident, his courage. So they are definitely going to tell the story to others. Now, when they are going to tell the story, they are going to tell around 50 men were there, and Napoleon was alone. The same thing, these people are going to exaggerate. 100 people were there, and Napoleon was alone. So this is a very common thing. Napoleon was an able military general, no doubt at all. He was an able administrator. But his heroic act was more famous before he entered into Paris. Means the name Napoleon was well known among the French household. Clear? So the popularity was already there. People were frustrated with the system, and this paved way for Napoleon. When Napoleon into Paris, when he entered into Paris, all the section of society, all the section of society welcome. Everybody, that's what we can say. Everybody celebrated the entry of Napoleon. All the section, please remember the word. All the section, everybody supported Napoleon. When he came, he abolished, the word is, please take note of it. Napoleon abolished the directory system and established a consulate system. Abolished the directory system and established a consulate system. Do you find out any difference in this act and the earlier acts? If you closely observe it, then earlier election was an integral part of it. Means when you want to abolish anybody, or dissolve any body, what you can do? You can dissolve that body, but before election takes place, after election, new body. What he did, he just abolished. He uses fiat to abolish it and establish a new body without election. Without election. Please remember this thing. Don't you think he was acting against the basic principle of revolution? Because revolution supported the idea of democracy, and this is not considered as the act of democracy. Clear? But as everybody supported him, everybody loves him, people frustrated with that, they want Masiha. They want someone to change the system, and Napoleon was an option in front of them. So what Napoleon did, and he, all the steps taken by Napoleon were the gradual step. He was a wise person, so he knew his limitation and he knew how to handle the people. So that's why step by step he introduced the changes, and that leads to history. So when he established a consulate system, there were three members, three consulates were there. Out of three, Napoleon was the first consulate, and most of the powers with him. Just imagine, he didn't take all the power with himself because he don't want to make people angry. Why? And he don't want people to realize that this person is assuming power alone. So it was not the case. So what he did, he established a consulate, and this consulate is having three members. Napoleon was the most important, most of the power with him. And with that, Napoleon started introducing reforms, and these reforms were popularly known as the Napoleonic reforms. Napoleon started introducing reforms known as Napoleonic reforms, and it is having two forms. One is internal, another is external. Internal reforms mean the reforms introduced within the France. Clear? Internal reforms means reforms introduced within the France, that is internal reforms. Yes, everyone. So that's all for today's lecture. Do you have any question, queries? Yes, anyone? Any question? The concept is clear till now? Yes, anyone is having any query, any question? Please let me know. No question? Anyone? Okay. So I hope you don't have any question, any query. If you have, please let me know. Okay. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we are going to continue this session at 8:30 am. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Okay.